guys, we're officially in the review portion of the video. If you have not checked out the full playthrough, check the link in our description. If you guys, after the review, you want to check it out, I can almost guarantee you will. But if not, that's fine too. And also the link for the Kickstarter is in the description for this game. Okay, guys, so this is a captain's log. Now, quickly before we get into the review, guys, if you're just joining us for the first time, basically we have this massive board here. Very, very epic experience right here. Let's move these off. And we have this map that started out with just these 2 tiles that were uncovered. Then we had to explore all of this vast ocean, which on this ocean, we have a bunch of different things that happen. There are barrels that are hidden that you basically place these as barrels, and these are going to be uncovered, and you get bonuses and goods and all kinds of stuff. If you find fortresses, they're assigned to nations, and those nations, if you have bad reputation with them, you're going to get attacked by those. There are sandbars all around. The sandbars are based on the weight of your ship, so your ship can't move through certain areas if it's too heavy. There are also all these different mission elements that we didn't even scratch the surface of because we only got through a couple mission cards. There's a fat deck of mission cards over there. And yes, and all the while, you're having this skirmish out here with these different ships. There's non-player ships, there's player ships, and they're all controlled by different rules and regulations. And all the while, you are also trying to gain reputation with nations. You are going to shipyards and taverns at these different ports. You are also trying to build up your ship here that takes on a bunch of, you can buy upgrades for. There's a bunch of damage that happens. Water damage happens here, and it builds up just like water would. Fire starts from the top and works its way down, sprinting across your ship and eating it alive. And if you're playing with somebody that has no mercy, they will attack with fire, as we found out. Okay, so no spoilers, but yes. And in the capacity of the ship is going to change based on the tier level of your ship. So you get to upgrade all that kind of stuff. There's also different things that happen with the events over there that are going to dynamically change how the game is played, because it makes it floods the sandbars, or it like decreases the level of the water, or storms happen, plagues happen. What more? There's nothing else that could happen in this game that isn't already in here.
He's covered it all.
Insane. Okay, so guys, again, the playthrough is in the description if you want to see it. The first thing I have to talk about is the absolutely epic scale of this game. Every single part of this game, you can tell the designer poured himself out. And not only did he pour himself into this game, he poured in so much research of historical accuracy. So not only do the mechanisms themselves, like the market over here is actually the way the contraband works, and the goods are distributed, the legal and illegal, and they're placed on this market, and how the economy fluctuates, that is based on historical accuracy of how these smugglers actually just did business, you know what I mean, in these places. So also all these ships, these are historically accurate names that are based on the language of origin of these people. The cool thing about this is that if these people were historically like an aggressive aggressive captain or defensive captain or a merchant, this is what they are doing in the game. These bots that are like, you're basically taking history and you're reliving how they would actually be. Christopher Columbus is in here. I'm pretty sure he was aggressive. So he's probably here just trying to attack. I'm not sure if he's aggressive or not, but it doesn't matter. Now, also the war card here, which actually determines how reputation is given and taken away based on, like this one right here, if you attack one of these ships, you get reputation with the British because they were at war with them. It's all, and this is actually based on a real historical war. It's insane, guys. Now, you don't have to know anything about history, because I sure don't, to enjoy this game and to really appreciate these mechanisms behind it. So the thing about this is the epicness, I wish epicness were a word, like
you can make it up,
insanity of this game comes from the fact that this game is basically like I don't want to say six, but several mini games in one. The reason I say that is because even though they're just like separate components of this game, where you have like this market over here, and you have this reputation track in this ship, a lot of games have that type of thing where they're just kind of like an additional component. This game feels like a deep depth of strategy behind each one of these different parts of the board. It's not like you can just go somewhere and you can go somewhere and buy a ship, but it's not like that's all that matters. You know what I mean? You don't just go buy a ship and it gets like, oh, +1 upgrade. You have a whole shipboard on here that is struggling with fire damage, water damage, sinking or burning. You have upgrades that you can buy that increase or decrease your defense or your movement or your attack. That's just your shipboard. Then you have all of these things going to shipyards and taverns. Those are affected and influenced in different ways based on reputation. Then you have a market, a whole economy over there that you have to think about when you want to sell and buy goods. Then you have missions and events that your missions are super important. They drive your game. This game is like buying like 5 games in a single box. And they all work together in a perfectly synergistic way that makes sense. I sounded like I was going to start crying right there. Okay.
So what I really liked about this game are the unique mechanisms. So while you're moving around the board, you've got to think about wind direction, for example. So you get penalties if you move against the wind, and then you get more movement if you move with the wind.
Which makes perfect sense.
Which it does make perfect sense. And it makes so you always have to move in the direction that your boat is facing. So that makes it difficult too. So you can't just like, I'm going to go over here, or I'm going to go over here. Like exactly. You have to move with the direction that your boat is facing. And so you're constantly thinking about that when you're trying to get from place to place. And then also you've got all of these sandbars over here. And so you can't load your ship down with too many goods. You can't take on too much water damage, because every 5 cubes that you have, now you can't go through these sandbars. So you can't navigate the board and explore as much as you would want to, because now you've got too many goods on your ship. And so if you hit a sandbar, nothing really happens, but
you just can't go over it.
And so you have to constantly be thinking about your ship. And that's another thing. When you upgrade your ship, some of these upgrades, like this defense upgrade over here, it weighs down your ship. So now if your goal is to be like a trading merchant, and your mission cards are telling you to
or if you just find a market that's like super far away and you're really heavy.
Right. So you can't go. And your mission cards sometimes tell you, to trade at this certain port with this amount of goods, and you get an extra fame. Well, now if you're super, souped up defensively, then you can't go to those ports, and you can't trade as easily as you would want to. It'll take you a lot longer. So I like that there's so much involved.
And that's because those sandbars, like right. The way this is completely variable. So there's sandbars, like right over here is a whole sandbar. Like all of this is a sandbar. And so if this were in the middle and you're trying to get around that with a heavy ship, you would not be able to make it to those ports.
Right. So at one point I wanted to go to this pirate port because I had all different kinds of products, all different kinds of cargo. That's more thematic.
Probably contraband with you.
Right. All different types of cargo that I wanted to sell all at once instead of finding these other ports. If you watch the playthrough, you'll understand that. But I couldn't, because now my ship was too heavy. I have water damage. I have extra cargo. So I couldn't even go to this port. And then on top of that, you have to take into consideration all of your
the reputation.
Yep. So
and there was also a storm event that also caused our ship to lose half of its movement.
Right. So I'm over here. So the easiest one for me to go to was this Holland port, but I don't have reputation with that Holland port.
Yeah, she had -2, which means she cannot trade at the market with that port.
Right. So now I have to find a different market, but I can't move because I don't have enough movement, and my ship's super bogged down, so I can only go to certain places.
Yep.
And it was just, it's a lot to think about, but it was so fun trying to navigate all of these different components of the game.
That is such, like, I love that you said navigate, because this game takes the idea of navigation and like, it's seriously, it's like every concept that he came up with, he was like, okay, let me just take the word navigation and try to make it as complex and as thematic as possible with all the sandbars and everything. I love that it's not just your action is move 5 times. Okay, if you hit a little, if there's like one little line of sandbar, you can't move across, you got to go around. It's not just you can't move across. It's that if your ship is too heavy, you have to throw things overboard into the water to get across those sandbars, and this is losing valuable resources.
Right.
So you're thinking about wind direction, you're thinking about what where your boat's facing. All of those things are just movement, but it doesn't bog the game down. It actually makes it super interesting. Yeah. To do that, because there were several times where I was going over here and I was like, man, I need to turn around. I need to hit like a quick cut, rip that e-brake. And I couldn't, because if I did, I would get penalized so much that I wouldn't be able to make it back to where I wanted to be. Then I would get attacked by some bot, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
So I just love that he took that just one simple concept, and that happens all throughout the game with everything.
And even in combat. So like you have to come alongside somebody because your cannons are only on the side. So you can't
Yep.
You can't battle someone if you're facing their front because you don't have any cannons in the front. You don't have any cannons in the back. So you have to make sure that you even have enough movement points to come alongside somebody instead of just, bump them in the booty.
Exactly. It's so cool, man, how all of that works. It's really a beautiful, beautiful design. And I like even the fortresses over here. If you have negative reputation with them, you're going to get hit in this little area over here. But if not, you have safe passage. You know what I mean? I love. So
it takes you a long time to get around that. Instead of just going straight through. Mm-hmm.
So another thing that I really like about this game is that you have an overall strategy, right? There's two ways you're playing this game in at the same exact time that happens simultaneously. The first one is strategy. You have a goal to get 7 fame points, right? Or really ultimately it's like a lot more than that. We just played the base game and you're trying to get these fame points. Now, how are you going to do that? Okay, so you can decide if you want to live your life as like a merchant and sell and buy and sell goods at this market. It's not so easy because you need to get those goods first, right? You need to explore the open ocean to get barrels and to find different things. You need to go to different. So these barrels right here will give you goods sometimes, just randomly. Sometimes they'll give you goods. Sometimes they won't. They'll give you other things. But that's one way to get goods. Another way is to sink merchant ships or NPC ships, which are non-player character ships that have goods on them. That's a way to get goods.
Or each other. We can sink each other.
We can sink each other and get goods. You can also go to different ports around the map that are going to allow you to buy certain goods from different markets, and then you go to other ports and sell them. So that is your strategy. Now, that all takes quite some time to get around the board, especially if your boat, like we talked about, is super weighed down. Now, while you're going for this overall strategy, there's also this tactical gameplay happening on the board between characters and bots, okay? And it's pretty constant because at the end of your turn, you're going to initiate these NPCs, non-player characters, that are going to start either attacking or just going on a route that you can decide if you want to attack, okay? Some are really aggressive, some are just defensive, some are just merchants, okay? And so that is giving you these bots that are going around. Sometimes you're like, I really want to go in this direction, but I don't want to be close to this bot that is just loaded with cannon. Okay, but then the merchant's over there too. Maybe I want to go attack him, or actually maybe I'll let him go from port to port to get, some coin, and then I'll attack him. So there's a skirmish going on here that always draws your attention, while you're also going for this overall goal. It's basically like little side missions.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I love that about this game, which brings me to my next point super quick, the bots, okay? The way these guys work is genius, okay? So you're gonna on this side of a card, right here, you have your ship, okay? And on this side is the non-player character ship. You're drawing from the same deck, okay? So these cards right here are basically gonna be spawned in different areas depending on the type of ship, depending on the nation that the ship is of, or it could be a pirate fighting with the nation. They're all gonna spawn in these different places on the map. Now, if they can't spawn, they're actually going to count down and then eventually just disappear because they just didn't do anything with their lives. And if they do join, though, then you have this new person on the board that is influencing the gameplay in a really unique way. Those things, just the introduction of those characters and how they all have rules for moving and like a hierarchy of how they attack and where they go, ports they go to. All of those influence the gameplay directly, and they are done so well in this game that they don't ever. It's not like an upkeep phase where you're really bogged down with stuff. You're just like, let's do this and go.
Right.
And it just keeps you on your toes. So I love that there's bots in this game. You can determine how long you want this game to last, which is really cool. So if you don't have a lot of time, you can do a short game. If you play this game, you better have some time, okay? Because it takes a while. But
I think the short game
would probably be fine. We were just getting used to the rules and everything like that.
Right. So I think after playing this a couple of times, I think it would probably be pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
The base game would be.
And guys, this game is for everybody because again, you have people that really like an economic game. There's an economy for you right there. Mm-hmm. If you're a person that likes a skirmish tactical game, boom, right there. You can fight with people. You can be cutthroat if you want to be. You can take what was yours all along. Okay, they didn't know it, but you did. Okay, you can do that. If you're a person that likes to build something, if you're like a builder of things, you could build up your ship right here and just be like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on my thing right here. And now you need to do other things in the game, but this is it feels like you're building something here. Now, if you're a very mission oriented person, go for missions. That's something you could do. If you're a person that just likes this idea of like
exploring,
yeah, if you just want to explore, you can just explore.
Because we didn't even explore all of it.
Yeah,
and that was fun.
Go ahead and explore and try to, different events are going to bring out different things, and you can just be an explorer. You can be an explorer. You truly in this game get to choose your own adventure. on an epic scale. The artwork, I really like the flavor on the art as well. Like the sandbars are, that's what I wanted. Like the style of art in this game is so cool. It feels like this, how do I even put it? This old pirates, like.
It does. It feels vintage. It feels New
very,
World.
Exactly. Yes. Very vintage, very. I like that word you said. Old world is a good way to put it. It looks like it was all done on like parchment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even there's something on here that actually. Oh yeah, these have like a mug stain on them on like parchment paper. It looks like they just like slam the mug on there, and they're just like trying to like think about how they're gonna like organize this. Captain sitting here like stressing out. Oh, it's so good.
But I love another part of the thematic feel of it is you can just toss your cargo over and then it just like stays floating in the sea.
You can see it. You can see it. It's just floating in the sea, man.
And so someone can come back, or you can come back and pick it back up, and there you go. I mean, one of the strategies could be to leave cargo where you're gonna go and come back and pick it up.
Yep.
Outside of the sandbar. So
when I was talking with the designer, he said instead of having for treasure, you can be adjacent to that island and not go to the port, because what it is like. It's thematically you're anchoring down and your crew is rowing rowboats to the shore, trying to just basically sneak on the shore and take that treasure.
That makes sense.
Those are all the good things about Captain's Log, which is a lot.
This is deep imagination.
It's deep imagination, yes.
Come to life. Like
it is. It truly, truly is.
Like it's not lacking in its detail and intensity of this age.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. The reason we've gone on so long with the good parts of this review is because it is a game that has love poured into it, theme poured into it, research poured into it, time, energy, and you can feel it. And
Absolutely.
So, yeah, you can just feel it. So, anyway, regardless of how we feel about the game, there's always constructive criticism. So, what are some constructive criticisms about this game? I'm going to start here, and I think that for me, there's it's a constructive criticism that the designer actually is already aware of. And it's that this game has so many heavy and deep and complex concepts that it is hard to encompass that in a rulebook. Okay? Whenever you here's the thing about sandbox games. Inherent to the nature of sandbox games is the fact that there are going to be scenarios that happen that a rulebook will not cover. That's why there's whole sections on Board Game Geek for every single game that has hundreds of questions asked. And when I was originally going through this with the designer, he actually we sat down, we did somewhat of a playthrough, and he talked me through basically every rule in here. There were still, after sitting with him and trying to get everything perfectly clear. And again, the rulebook is going to be this is a prototype rulebook, and it wasn't translated professionally yet. It is translated just enough to be able to play the game and explore the concepts. But the final version of the rulebook will be professionally translated, and the concepts will be more, they'll be laid out in more of with more clarity, is what I'm trying to say. They'll be laid out with more clarity. So there are times, even after all that explanation, where these little things happen where I didn't know how to handle. Now, the designer who lives and breathes this game knew every question that I ever had for him, boom, like that. But that's because it's in him. It's in his mind. You know what I mean? This game is a part of him. So that is one thing that is going to be hard for a game of this nature, is going to be the fact that there are going to be some questions. And the thing is, though, I don't think that breaks the game, because, there are a couple times in the playthrough where we don't really know how to handle the situation, but we're going to do what makes most sense, because that's what he designed this game off of, or based on, is sense and common sense and historical sense. So if we did something that made sense in a pirate-themed game, we just went ahead and just did that. You have to commit some time and energy to learning how to play, and the people who you play with are going to have to also take some time to really focus on what it means to play this game. And if you do, you will have an adventure and experience a journey that is unlike almost any other, for us at least, that we've ever played.
But for me, because we only played the base game, so I don't know how the complex regular game works. But for me, the base game, I can see how the more you play it, the easier it gets, obviously, with any game that you play.
Absolutely.
So I think that this could be a pretty quick game once you understand how to play.
100%.
I don't think it would be that difficult. It's just taking the time to learn it and then play it a few times. Mm-hmm. And so if you're just staying on the base game or just buying this for the base game, I think it's worthy of a buy just for that.
Yeah. I agree. I truly agree that the base game for me was a lot of fun. Now the full game, or the complex, it's not complex, but it's the full game, introduces captains. It introduces different mechanics on a ship. You get to board ships. You get to ram ships. So it's just more of these concepts that are real. They're real concepts, but when you're learning a game and you haven't been there for the whole creation of it, it can be somewhat overwhelming to try to figure out. But once you do, it makes so much sense, and it's a lot of fun to go on and do those things that you now understand. I think what I would like to see are just a couple more examples in the rulebook, a couple more scenarios detailed, and from that I could just basically figure out, based off logic, how the game would flow. I'm going to be honest, guys. If this game had some more examples, a little bit more rules clarification, which is his goal for the Kickstarter, is to have all that, at least the clarity in the rulebook. This game, I want to say this game would be a masterpiece.
Absolutely.
Even after the first play, I already feel way more confident about how to play this game. It was just getting through that initial play, and now it's like, okay, it's all settled in. We could play probably in half the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, guys, that was Captain's Log. Check it out on Kickstarter. Okay, the link is in our description below. If you haven't seen the playthrough, guys, the link for that is also in the description below. And wow, I'm going to go sleep for 3 days, okay? So, guys, if you enjoyed this playthrough, this review, whatever part of the video you're watching, guys, please like and subscribe. And again, thank you so much to Anastasio Martinez for providing us with this amazing game to review. And congratulations on the epic design, guys. And congratulations to you guys for sticking around till the end of this video. So, thank you guys. Much love. God bless. Take it easy.